saying that this is all the reason, but True T has really done an amazing thing for Miss Black Titanic, and I appreciate that. And it's always good to see creators supporting other creators. But child, y'all go over there and listen to this, because this right here is the clown of the year.
Maurice's affair has finally come to light, and Kimmi Scott is not staying silent anymore. For years, Kimmi carried the weight of keeping her family together while facing whispers, rumors, and uncomfortable truths behind the scenes. Now she's done holding back. Maurice didn't just break a promise. He broke the heart of a woman who stood by him through the toughest chapters of life. From the moment she was introduced on Love and Marriage, Huntsville, Kimmi was admired for her strength, grace, and quiet dignity. But beneath that calm surface was a storm brewing, one that she managed to keep hidden from the world. Until now. The truth about Maurice's affair has shocked fans, but not entirely because it happened. What really stunned people is how long it went on, how deep the betrayal ran, and how Kimmi chose to handle it. For years, Maurice was able to keep up appearances, always the businessman, the father, the husband. He was the polished face beside Kimmi, and together they seemed like the show's most stable couple. But image and reality are not the same. The cracks were there, and Kimmi saw them before anyone else did. It started with subtle changes. Maurice began staying out later, claiming he had business meetings or work trips. He was often unreachable at odd hours, and slowly his energy at home changed. Kimmi didn't make a scene or start accusing him in public, but she noticed. Then the whispers started, first among fans on social media, then on gossip pages. People started asking questions. Why does Kimmi look so tired? Why is Maurice always gone? And who is the woman he's allegedly been seen with? Kimmi didn't react. She didn't address the rumors, and she didn't defend him either. That silence wasn't weakness. It was observation. She began keeping track of everything. The late-night calls, the passwords he suddenly changed, the stories that never quite added up. And when the discomfort became too loud to ignore, Kimmi took matters into her own hands. She hired a private investigator. The results were worse than she expected. Maurice wasn't just cheating. He was doing it with someone who had been around them before. This wasn't just a fling. It was a betrayal rooted in familiarity. Even with the evidence.
However, in the moment that I acted, I was acting to protect the situation, protect my brother from. In the moment that I acted, I was acting to protect the situation, protect my brother from further harm.
Evidence in hand, Kimmi didn't go straight to the internet. She sat with the pain, processed it, and decided when and how to speak her truth. And when she finally did, she came with everything: screenshots, messages, photos. These weren't blurry, vague images. They were clear, time-stamped, and impossible to deny. Pet names, hotel receipts, conversations that left no room for interpretation. Kimmi didn't lash out. She didn't scream. She simply presented the facts. The reaction online was immediate and intense. Fans were heartbroken, outraged, and deeply moved by Kimmi's calm strength. She didn't just expose a cheating husband, she exposed years of emotional labor, years of pretending, and years of putting someone else's peace above her own. But not everyone was kind. Some questioned her timing, her motives, asking why she would go public now. But those voices were quickly drowned out by the majority who saw what this really was: a woman reclaiming her voice after years of silence. Maurice didn't respond at first. No statements, no denials, just silence. But the pressure became too much. He eventually addressed the issue, claiming the photos were old and the messages were taken out of context. Kimmi responded by dropping more receipts. The more he tried to twist the narrative, the clearer the truth became. Finally, Maurice owned up to it. He admitted to the affair and said he had made a mistake. But what he said next left people divided. He didn't just apologize. He tried to explain the affair as a result of emotional confusion, saying he felt lost, overwhelmed, and disconnected. He spoke about mental health, depression, and the pressure of being in the public eye. Some fans sympathized with him, saying he showed vulnerability and remorse. But many others saw it differently. They felt he was using emotional struggles as an excuse for betrayal. Kimmi had been through cancer, family struggles, and the pressures of fame. Yet she never stepped out of her marriage. Her strength highlighted just how deep Maurice's betrayal ran. As the story continued to unfold, a new twist emerged. An anonymous account online hinted that Kimmi herself might not have been entirely innocent. At first, it was dismissed as noise. But then, someone claiming to be a family friend spoke up, suggesting that during one of Maurice's long absences, Kimmi may have had her own affair. When asked directly, Kimmi didn't deny or confirm. She simply posted a photo of herself with the caption, "What you don't know might break you." It was a subtle message, but a powerful one. Fans jumped to her defense. Some said if she had stepped out, no one could blame her after everything she'd endured. Others pointed out her silence again. Not a refusal to engage in drama, but a choice to rise above it. People started rewatching old episodes, noticing signs they had missed. Moments where Kimmi seemed emotionally distant, drained, or on the edge of something deeper. The conversation shifted again. This was no longer just about cheating. It was about emotional damage, manipulation, and the cost of maintaining appearances for the sake of image. And all of this was unfolding not just in private, but on national television. Their children, their friends, their fans, everyone was watching it play out in real time. Even the producers of the show were in a tough spot. The Scott family drama had become too real. Some sponsors started backing out, concerned about the show's direction. But ironically, the ratings soared. Viewers were no longer just watching. They were emotionally invested. This wasn't scripted drama anymore. It was real pain, real betrayal, and real choices. And in the middle of it all, Kimmi made another unexpected move. She chose to stay on the show. Instead of retreating from the spotlight, she leaned into it. In a powerful sit-down interview, she opened up about what she'd been through, not just as a wife, but as a woman, a mother, and a survivor. She talked about healing, not the kind that comes from time, but the kind that comes from hard truth, tough conversations, and choosing yourself even when it hurts. Kimmi spoke about the people who had betrayed her trust, not just Maurice, but so-called friends who stayed silent or looked the other way. She talked about fighting for a family that didn't always fight for her. And then she talked about what comes next. Not revenge, not bitterness, but purpose. She said this wasn't the end of her story, but the beginning of a new chapter. One where she tells her truth, not someone else's version of it. And people listened. Her words sparked conversations across social media. Women shared their own stories of betrayal and silence. Men spoke about the pressure of emotional expression. It wasn't just about Kimmi anymore. It was about all the people who had been quietly hurting behind closed doors. But even with all the receipts, confessions, and emotional revelations, one question remains. Is this really the beginning of healing for Kimmi and Maurice,